Hey YouTube, Tegan here from Tegan Kiteboarding, passionate kiteboarder and brand ambassador for Lacuna Kites. And this is a full walkthrough and overview video of the Apex V3 bar from Lacuna Kiteboarding. As you can see, I've got the new Lacuna Omega V4 pumped in the background, so feel free to go and check that video out as well. I'll link that in this video's description. Lacuna takes quite a practical approach to their gear, and everything that has been, or every feature that has been, added to their gear is designed or is there to make the gear as durable, functional, and user-friendly as humanly possible. So diving straight into the features of this bar, I want to kind of go through each feature in a bit more detail just to kind of show the thought process behind why they've been incorporated into this design in the first place. So first thing you'll notice about the bar, quite slim and minimalistic floaters over here. They've got a quite cool system on the side here that make them kind of sit down and closer to the bar like that, just giving the bar much more minimalistic and slim feel, especially once you've wrapped your lines up against the bar. Second thing, on the, leader lines that come out of the floaters, they've got a see-through or clear PU tube just covering those leader lines just to make those last a little bit longer, and it looks a lot cleaner with that covering on them. Next thing, with regards to the actual kite lines themselves, sorry for the interruption there, but just quick note on the actual lines that are used on the bar. So they are from a third-party line manufacturer called Braidtech. As far as I understand, these guys have been in the industry for ages, and Lacuna uses an SK75 kite line on their bar, so not SK99, SK75. To be really specific, it's called the BT450 75, so Braidtech 450 SK75 kite line. The difference between the SK99 lines and the SK75 lines is the SK75 lines have a slightly thicker diameter on the individual Dyneema fibers, which obviously results in a slightly thicker kite line, but much better abrasion resistance from that. So bit of a trade-off there, but that's the reasoning behind why they went for that option. Any further info you want there, I have linked that link in the video description if you want to check that out. But otherwise, back to the video. And they are in 3 sections. So 11 meters, 9 meters, and then 3 meters. So why that's so cool? Number one, you can adjust your kite line lengths to personal preference. So I personally quite like flying 23 meter lines. So then you'd use all 3 of those extensions. If you want to shorten your lines for better kite loops, you can pull those line lengths down to 20 meters by removing that 3 meter extension. Also, if you loop the kite a lot, what you'll notice is where your bar twists during the loop, you'll get a wear spot on your lines. I don't know if you can see that there, but the lines will start fraying like that. And that's something that every kite brand will encounter, especially again if you loop the kite often and you have the lines twisted together for a certain period of time. The reason that the different line extensions are super helpful is you can move that wear point around as that portion of the lines get frayed. So for example, my bottom 11 section or 11 meter section of lines closest to my bar, I frayed the section there from looping. So what I can do is flip that segment of kite lines around and move the wear point more towards the middle of my kite lines, and ultimately get a lot more life out of my kite lines instead of just kind of wearing through that bottom point and then having to buy a whole new set. So very clever design in that regard to get more life out of your gear without having to buy new gear unnecessarily. Then the next thing about the bar, again, not a huge factor, but I think it looks quite cool with the slim black and orange design over here with the silver Lacuna logo. I think that looks really cool. Then just to reference, this bar comes in 2 sizes. You can get it in 51 centimeters or 46 centimeters in width. Then moving down to the trim system and the safety line, you've got the main power line to your actual chicken loop covered in PU tubing, just to make that less hard on your fingers, especially if you're one of those guys that kites with the center line between your 2 fingers like that. One thing to note is that the safety line is kept separate to the PU tubing. Specific reason for that, so that you can keep an eye on the wear on that safety line. I've personally seen a lot of bars snap because it's obviously all covered in PU. You can't see the wear on your safety line, and that safety line breaks because obviously you can't see the wear on that safety line. So safety line is out of the PU tubing so that you have full visibility over the wear of that. Then the next thing, onto the chicken loop as well as the auto untwist feature as well. So what I find with this bar is, as long as the split between your two center lines, so the bottom of the V in your center lines is wide enough, that actually auto rotates on its own. And the key to making that possible is having a very good bearing system on your chicken loop over here. So as you can see, that's a very smooth rotator. So as soon as you loop the kite, that should 90% of the time flip back to no twist in your center line automatically, due to that wide separator between your two center lines there. And then that smooth bearing will auto untwist the power line and safety line that obviously lead to your chicken loop. Then following on from that, just touching on the trim system over here, just the regular cleat system. Pull your trim line out, cleat that into the cleat over there, and then it has a little Velcro patch on the trim line that you can then pull around and stick to the actual cleat itself using the little piece of Velcro that is on that section there, keeping that little trim line or excess trim line out of the way. Then lastly, just with regards to the actual chicken loop itself. So first thing to note here is that it's got the auto center line untwist. So you'll see that little piece there. If I turn the safety line, as you can see there, if for whatever reason, you know, we're looping a lot and we're twisting that center line, that auto untwists automatically like that. Then the average chicken loop, nothing special about the chicken loop, durable and super flexible. I have seen other brands have problems with these breaking, but very simple, strong and minimalistic chicken loop design. No great shakes, and obviously does the job well and solidly, and shouldn't, you know, break on you halfway through a session. Next thing to mention on the actual chicken loop itself, as you can see here, it's got a thinner section of the chicken loop here, and then it thickens out quite heavily towards the bottom over there. Specific reason for that: when kiting a lot, you'll soon start to see your harness wear through your chicken loop. And I've actually seen chicken loops snap before because the harness actually wears right through the PU coating itself and through the Dyneema line that runs through your chicken loop, obviously breaking that chicken loop, and that would obviously, you know, release your kite. So a much thicker chicken loop at the bottom here to prevent that wear, or just make that chicken loop, or allow that chicken loop to last a lot longer for you and prevent those issues from happening as well. Then the second last thing to mention on the chicken loop itself is the bearing system that is used in this chicken loop. So it's a stainless steel bearing system with ceramic balls in that. Very durable and open bearing system to stop sand and, you know, grit getting in there, and keeping that auto rotate and that chicken loop rotate super smooth and slick. Then last thing with regards to the actual chicken loop connection itself, this is a kind of a seatbelt style chicken loop. So as you can see there, if we don't need to lift the safety release to reinstall the chicken loop itself, that just clips straight in there like that. So very easy to reinstall, especially when you're dealing with a kite on the beach. Then last thing to mention here with regards to the actual parts that are used in this bar and on the safety system and on the chicken loop system here. This is, or all these little bits and pieces are from a brand called Majestic, and a lot of other kite brands in different parts of the world use this same safety release system. Why that's important is, obviously if you're in a different part of the world and for whatever reason a chicken loop breaks or a safety line breaks, or you have wear on your safety release for whatever reason, this is a very common part that you should be able to get all over the world from multiple brands, making it a lot easier and preventing possible issues arising from lack of parts, etc., in different parts of the world. So super user friendly from that perspective. Also a trusted parts manufacturer across multiple other kite brands as well. So yeah, very user friendly, interchangeable, and easy to find these parts. Then last thing, which I think is a very clever design, is keeping your kite lines the same length. So if you haven't seen the little reel I put up, going over this, I'll do a quick skim through this as well. So obviously over time with use in the sun, the salt, etc., kite lines will stretch and shrink, and it's essential that these are always kept the same length to ensure that the kite flies properly. So there are two ways to adjust this. You can adjust your steering lines via the normal, the standard steering line adjuster system at the bottom of the bar here. But a key factor with Lacuna is this pigtail design that they've used used on their kite. Now, why this is so important is, as you can see here, if we just pull, so it's got a, the usual lark's head that cinches down onto the actual kite itself. So that lark's head that cinches down onto the knot on the kite. Then you've got a second lark's head over there that pulls down or cinches down onto a knot, a half hitch in the middle of your pigtail there. Now, let's say, for example, this is particularly relevant with your center lines where you don't have an adjustment point on the actual bar itself. So if one of your center lines shrinks or stretches and obviously puts the lengths out of with regards to your center lines, you can adjust the length of your actual kite line by adjusting the length of your pigtail and not having to actually adjust the length of the kite line itself. So what you can do is move this knot, this half hitch, up and down this pigtail. That lark's head then cinches down onto that half hitch, and as you can see, you can move that half hitch up and down. That lark's head will cinch against that knot, and you can customize the length of your pigtail and ultimately your kite line. So again, very effective, simple and robust design from Lacuna. Prevents you or reduces the likelihood of you having to buy new kite lines because they are different lengths and after using them for a long time. So again, get a much better lifespan out of your existing gear with a simple and clever design. So that was it for the Apex V3 bar. Hopefully you found all of that interesting. If you have any further questions, feel free to leave those in the comments below and I'll get back to you with any additional info there. But otherwise, hopefully that was helpful. If you want any further info, feel free to check out lacunakites.com. But again, hopefully that was helpful. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.